Let me introduce you to a little game I like. This is Railroading Challenge. But also, this is Railroading Challenge. This is Railroading Challenge. And this. That's also Railroading Challenge. And that. A few years ago, a game called Railroading came out. It's cute, right? You doodle some railroads or roads, you connect some exits, you score some points. It came in two boxes, virtually identical in the game, but each offering two different expansions, two different spins on the formula. I expected to have a nice time with it, but I certainly didn't expect to be wowed by it. Yet wowed I was. Everything about it seemed perfect. A little box for a little fun. Plays great solo too. I'm not much of a solo gamer, but I do enjoy a game that's easy to solo. I play board games to have a nice social time with my wife and my friends. I play solo games to crack a puzzle. Sudoku, but better. It wasn't long till I started taking railroading with me everywhere. I used to live in a town called Harpenden. Harpenden did not have much in it. Aside from Childwickbury Manor, of course, where Stanley Kubrick lived, filmed, and now rests in death, whilst the mansion sits on the outskirts of town, haunting it like an ill spectre of greatness and regret. But aside from that, it's got some hairdressers, a statue of Eric Morecambe, a park, and some coffee shops. The best of which was a Cafe Nero, no brand loyalty here, it's just that the staff was nice, and also they let dogs in. So I walked my dog to the nice park and then I went and sat in the coffee shop and got on with my writing. And sometimes I would take out railroad ink and undeterred by the public clack 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 of plastic against the coffee table, I would roll some dice and doodle some roads and score some points. It was simple, engrossing, cute and manageable. It was more than a little fun. It was in fact special. That's some big shoes to fill. Well, Railroading Challenge fills those shoes completely, and then it keeps pouring whatever it is that magical, colorful slurry that it's made out of until the shoes are full, the corridor is full, the outside is full, the world, the universe, everything. Railroading Challenge is just so much. There used to be 2 boxes, and now there's more boxes than anyone would ever need in their lives. It's such a typical arc for board games these days. Start small and then engorge it to ridiculous levels so you get a big Kickstarter out of it. The word hubris comes to mind, yet when the boxes came, try as I might, hubris was nowhere to be found. Sure, some of these expansions are rubbish. In fact, even out of the 2 boxes that form the core pillar that is the new and updated Railroading Challenge experience, one is significantly better than the other. But I'd argue that even a rubbish railroading expansion is better than most other things I could be doing whilst groggy in the morning, trying to come to terms with the fact that the coffee isn't yet doing its thing, but life's not gonna wait for me to wake up. It's ready to show me all the upsetting news, the people angry on social media, and the laundry list of jobs I need to get on with. You have your crosswords, I have my crossroads. Life can wait a little. As a base game experience, Challenge is not that different from the original. You roll 4 dice and then you are forced to draw whatever is depicted on them, and you do that 7 times. You will score points for connecting as many exits as possible, and then for your longest railroad, road, and any spaces you fill in the center. All of that is still here. But now there's also the titular challenge cards. If you're the first to draw a railroad 6 segments long, you score an extra 4 points, for example. And 4 points can mean a lot in this game. If you're playing solo, you have to complete these challenges by rounds 3, 4, and 5 respectively. Then there's locations, villages, universities, and factories. They give you a bonus when you draw something over them, and each of them is carefully placed to be annoying to reach, yet the bonus you get for drawing over them is so tantalizing that you'll bend your roads over backwards to get to them. For example, a factory will let you copy any die face, if you want to, and draw it again. If you rolled something very useful, like a railroad swapping into a road, you would do well out of copying it, but that means you have to reach the stupid useless corner this round to do that. Is it worth it? Who knows? This space is the exact same space every time you play this game, yet the particularities of your routes and in consequence the decision space is entirely different. But the biggest change is the dice itself. A change so subtle that blink and you miss it. And if you do miss it, it will, without failure, whack you in the face at full force without any provocation. In original Railroad Inc., you had the overpass die phase. It looks like it connects railroads and roads, but it doesn't. It's two separate routes that don't intersect, and since you have to draw everything you roll, this proved to be every route planner's worst nightmare, because in a game where you want to connect places, the worst thing you can roll is a die face that adds everything, yet connects nothing. Well, the overpass die face is a child's joke in comparison to the baseball die face, even seeming useful in retrospect. Imagine punching a nest of bees and then just standing there. I love bees, so the act of vandalizing their home would be emotional distress enough. Then compound that by the actual pain of letting them assault you, and then finally mix in the anger, sadness, and confusion of having performed such an uncharacteristically violent and destructive act. That gets you to about 2/3 of the physical and intellectual horror and distress of the baseball die face result. Now consider that there's two of them, one for roads and one for railroads. Only a sadist could have designed this. I can't show you why it's annoying. I'd have to start drawing things and nobody wants to see that. But I hope it's intuitive that two separate roads, both bending corners, is frequently the worst result you could ever hope for. And sometimes, once out of 100, you'll roll it and you think, wow, I actually have a perfect place for this. You will be so proud of yourself. But at the same time, you won't feel like you even deserve it. If you were to ask me whether I enjoy the new elements, I would say yes, definitely yes, I love them. If you ask me whether they were expertly designed, I would have to admit that they're so deftly spliced in that I feel like they've always been there. But if you ask me whether they were needed, I would have to admit, I don't know. They certainly make Railroad Inc. Challenge more of a puzzle, and I'm not sure what I want more in life. A puzzle or just a nice time drawing routes? I guess I do have both. It's just that I'm not sure that I feel like I can go back. This identity crisis, this two-faced duality, is even more evident in my currently favorite box of Railroad Inc., the Lush Green Edition, and its two expansion modules. The Forest expansion adds dice with trees. It's just about the simplest expansion imaginable. All it wants you to do is draw some trees. You roll the dice, you draw the trees, and then you get some forests. And for the largest forest that you have, you will get 2 points for each space in that forest. And you'll even get a consolation prize for the second largest forest, where you'll get 1 point for each space in that forest. You don't even have to draw any dice you don't want. Just roll some dice and hey, if they go somewhere, draw them. If they don't, draw them somewhere else. And if not, don't draw them at all. Just have some fun with some trees. It's counterintuitive to think that something that adds more dice and more rules to something that was already a stricter version of the original will make it feel lighter, airier, and more relaxed, but that is precisely what the forest dice do. The fact that it's themed as a forest is just the icing on the trees. And then, in aforementioned stark contrast, we have trails, or nightmare route planning from hell via the lens of hiking. Just like Forest removes tension with a few extra dice and a few extra rules, Trails compounds complexity and turns a head scratcher into a headacre. But in a good way. All of Railroad Inc. works on a simple premise. Draw two types of routes that don't connect with each other but intersect via orthogonals. Well, what if you added a third type of route that overlays them but works in diagonals? The answer is the most amount of crunch I ever got from biting down on a non-permanent marker. To untangle trails is to look at the plane of Railroad Inc. in a different way. Before, it was a two-dimensional flat field. Now, it's elevated to a third, but that third dimension is shifted 90 degrees, like a kaleidoscopic puzzle. The design challenge isn't to just add a layer of crunch by pasting in a third type of root. It's to make it fun on top of that, and it turns out that digging up trails delivers in spades. When I moved to Nottingham, I haven't quite found a park I liked as much as Rothamsted Park. Rothamsted was big, maybe even too big for a small town, but Harpenden was an upmarket place with upmarket people, and they were gonna have their big giant park, or else. Nottingham is the opposite. There's a lot of spirit here, but spirit does not afford vast open areas, at least not anywhere near where I live. And if I have to get in the car every day just to get to the park, it kind of defeats the objective. But I will get into the car to get to a forest. And there's plenty of those on the outskirts of the city. Plus, Bessie loves them so much, I'm pretty sure that for that little dog, the forest is the best place in the universe. So I've quite taken to hiking, especially in places big enough to explore and find new routes. Mechanically, in trails, you want to draw hiking routes because you want to connect stations. Stations are little squares in the middle of intersections between roads and railroads, and you will score points for connecting these stations via trails the same way you score connecting exits on the edge of the board, except with the values halved. And much like in the forest expansion, you don't have to draw any of the trail's dice results, but you want to because each of these dice is another chance to slot in another piece into an all-consuming puzzle. It's surprising to how much accuracy this abstract experience mimics hiking. The trails will start drawing themselves, like veins bleeding outward from your perception. Turn a new corner and you're never sure what you're going to find. Might be a field with some cows, or maybe a bridge overlaying a road below, the old passing by the new, but never quite meeting. Trails is my favorite expansion that I've played, perhaps even the best one out of all of them, but I don't play it often. It properly scrambles my brain, and frequently that's not how I want to start my day. But that's alright, I can play Forests, I can play Railroading Challenge, the base game, I can even play the original Railroad Inc., just out of this box alone. Somewhere in an alternate universe where NPI was better at catchier YouTube titles, I could have called this video, I play this one board game every day. It almost wouldn't be a lie either. Because of the Railroading app, I can now play Challenge or just a regular game on my phone or on Steam, and I do play a game nearly every day with nifty animations and a serene soundtrack to boot. And that app really leans into the aspirational side of Railroad Inc. Do I play it every morning with my coffee because that's how I want to play this game? Or do I play it every morning with my coffee because it sells itself as the sort of game I want to play every morning with my coffee? I don't know, but I do know that I enjoy it regardless. What about all these other boxes? I've not even gone through them all, and I'm not sure I want to. Not because I'm not enjoying them, but because I'd rather save them. Over on SUSD, Tom Brewster, bless his youthful energy, blitzed through all of them. And if you want a buyer's guide, I think he did a terrific job. Out of the ones I've played, I've completely agreed with his assessment. Besides, I don't need to rush. None of these are review copies. Horrible Guild did send me early access to the beta of the app, but I was entitled to that through the Kickstarter I pledged. And I bought it later on my phone anyway. I suspect I will be playing Railroading for a long time to come. And there's pockets full of surprises left for me to discover. That's it. That's the end of my love letter to Railroading Challenge. And if you enjoyed it, you're obligated by law to listen to me tell you about the MPI to 100 campaign. That's the campaign where we go from 60,000 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers. How is that possible, you might ask? I don't know, but last time we asked people to subscribe and give us a shout out on the internet, they lit up the internet. They subscribed in droves, and that was amazing. Thank you everyone so much, but we're gonna need you to do that again because we're not quite there yet and we need to keep the momentum going. But as part of this campaign as well, we are highlighting other creators that we think you should be paying attention to. And today we will talk a little bit about Monique, the Game Freak Geek Girl. Monique streams board games on Twitch, and now I know that's another platform, but Monique is one of the most exuberant and delightful people I've seen making videos about board games, and you need to check her streams out. I left a link to Monique's Twitch profile in the description, and you need to go on that, click it, and hit follow, because then you'll get notifications to some of the friendliest and nicest board game streams out there. That's Monique, she's amazing, you should check out her videos. But what if you're a first-time viewer of MPI? What if you're watching this and going, why should I subscribe to you? I'm not ready yet for that kind of commitment. To which I say, I understand. You need something more to establish this relationship, which is why there are links to the videos somewhere floating around over here. There's one that's funny and there's one that's more serious. And you can, the one at the top is funny, the one at the bottom is serious. It's simple, really. Click on one of them, whatever you want. You want more silly, you click the one on the top. You want more serious, click the one at the bottom. And then watch more, and then after that, if you feel like it, do subscribe, and if you don't feel like it, keep watching, and then you'll subscribe. Thank you very much.